we follow the rules of this process down to the letter, so to ensure that everything is legitimate and everything is above board. So appreciate your patience. We just needed to confirm some further identification, and now that's all been done, we can get on with proceedings. So good morning, my name's Anthony Basford. I'm the CEO at East Gippsland Shire Council and your MC for today's ceremony. I'd like to commence proceedings by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land that we gather on today and recognise the living culture of the Gunai-Kurnai people and their unique contribution to our region, and I pay my respects to elders past, present and future, and to the Aboriginal community more generally. So on behalf of East Gippsland Shire Council, welcome. It's so good to see you all here today taking this step. It's pleasing to see that family and friends have also come along to support the candidates today. It's always an important part of the ceremony that the friends and family are involved, and we're pleased also through the technology that we have today that we're able to webcast and welcome those people who may be viewing this from overseas. Before we formally commence, I'd like to extend an invitation for you to take video or pictures at any time during the ceremony that you wish, and there will also be an opportunity to take photos with the Deputy Mayor who is overseeing the proceedings today. Just a bit of housekeeping before we get into it. Could I ask that any electronic devices are either turned off or on silent for the duration of the ceremony? Secondly, it's really important that the badges that the candidates have are visible, so please ensure that they are visible throughout the ceremony. And it would also be greatly appreciated if anyone that needs to leave can please wait until after the national anthem has been sung, which is after the presentation of certificates. Light refreshments will be served after the ceremony. And I'd also, while we're here, like to acknowledge who, as I said before, the Councillor John White, who's the Deputy Mayor who will be overseeing proceedings today. We also have Councillors Mark Reeves and Councillor Joe Rotino, thank you for your attendance, and the Honourable Tim Bull, Member for Gippsland East, who is also here. We do have a number of apologies. I won't read them all out, but one in particular from the Honourable Darren Chester, who's our federal member, and from our Mayor, Councillor Natalie O'Connell, who is unwell with the family today and sends her best wishes but apologies for not being able to be here. Today's citizenship ceremony is being conducted by the authority of the Minister for Home Affairs in accord with the Australian Citizenship Act 2007. And as I said, Councillor White, Deputy Mayor, will be presiding over the ceremony. The ceremony completes the legal requirements prescribed by the Citizenship Act, which requires each new citizen to make an Australian citizenship pledge. It also provides an opportunity for us to welcome you and celebrate your decision to become an Australian citizen. It now gives me great pleasure to invite the Deputy Mayor, Councillor John White, to address you. Thank you, John.
Thank you, Anthony. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to commence official proceedings by acknowledging the traditional owners of this land on which we gather today. I recognise the living culture of the Gunai-Kurnai people and the unique contribution they make to the region, and I pay respect to their elders past and present and to the Aboriginal community. I'm delighted to welcome you all on behalf of East Gippsland Shire Council, particularly our candidates who will receive their Australian citizenships. I also extend a warm welcome to my fellow councillors, Councillor Mark Reeves and Councillor Joe Rotino. Taking up Australian citizenship is a serious step. It is a symbol of your commitment to the country which you have chosen to make your home. Just as importantly, the conferment of citizenship is a symbol of Australia's commitment to you and is the step which makes you full and equal members of the Australian community. The Parliament recognises that Australian citizenship represents full and formal membership of the Commonwealth of Australia. Australian citizenship is a common bond involving reciprocal rights and obligations uniting all Australians while respecting their diversity. The Parliament recognises that persons granted Australian citizenship enjoy these rights and undertake to accept these obligations. By pledging loyalty to Australia and its people, by sharing their democratic beliefs, by respecting their rights and liberties, and by upholding and obeying the laws of Australia. However, no one who becomes an Australian citizen is expected to renounce their cultural identity. The customs and traditions you have grown up with are part of your heritage. It is important that you maintain these links with your past, for this cultural mix is what makes Australia a unique and special country. Today's ceremony marks the final stage of your decision to become an Australian citizen, the greatest compliment you can make to the people of Australia. Australian citizenship is the common bond which unites us all. Australia respects the diverse cultural inheritance of its citizens, and we are honoured that you have chosen to become an Australian citizen today. With citizenship comes responsibilities as well as rights. The greatest responsibility is to participate fully in our community, to strengthen the freedom and openness which makes Australia unique. We in East Gippsland are delighted that you've chosen to make your home in our Shire, and I'm sure that everyone here today will agree with me when I say that it is truly a great place to live. I would now like to read a message from the Honourable David Coleman, MP, Minister for Immigration, Citizenship and Multicultural Affairs. I'll read this word for word. Today, you become an Australian citizen. We are immensely proud of what you have achieved as a nation, and we welcome you in joining us. Our history and culture has been forged over thousands of years, first through Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people, and more recently with people from all corners of the earth. Australia has succeeded as a nation by embracing and defending our national values. We believe in freedom, in the rule of law, in democracy. We believe that all people are equal, regardless of their cultural background, gender, race or religion. We are a resilient nation. We have overcome world wars, depression, drought and flood. We stand with our strong democracies in helping to defend and protect hard-fought freedoms. By committing yourself to Australia today, you have chosen to embrace our nation and its values like so many millions of people throughout our history. You have decided to take the rights and responsibilities of Australian citizenship. On behalf of the Australian Government, I congratulate you on reaching this very special day. It's now your responsibility to join all of us in building an even stronger nation. The Honourable David Coleman, MP. On behalf of the councillors of the East Gippsland Shire and its people, I wish you good health, happiness and prosperity, and may you achieve your personal dreams for your future here in Australia.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Thank you, Deputy Mayor. To our candidates for Australian citizenship today, as an Australian citizen, you are entitled under Australian law to the same rights that are enjoyed by people born in Australia. By becoming an Australian, you are showing that you want to have a say in Australia's future. The Australian Citizenship Pledge calls upon new citizens to make a commitment of loyalty to Australia and its people. Candidates have a choice of making an oath or an affirmation in pledging their loyalty as citizens of Australia. I now invite the following candidate taking the oath under God to please stand in your place. Mr. Byron Seabain. Mr. Deputy Mayor.
Could you please repeat this pledge line by line after me? From this time forward, under God, I pledge my loyalty to Australia and its people,
I pledge my loyalty to Australia and its people,
whose democratic beliefs I share,
whose democratic beliefs I share,
whose rights and liberties I respect,
whose rights and liberties I respect,
and whose laws I will uphold and obey.
and whose laws I will uphold and obey.
Thank you.
Would the candidates taking the affirmation please now stand in your place? So that should be the rest of you. Are you able to stand? Thank you. Miss Janet Garner, Mr. Eric Lebon, Miss Yuan Yui, and Mrs. Karen Nicholas.
Thank you. Could you please repeat this pledge line by line after me? I'm hoping I'm on the right page here. Got to be over this. Here we go. Sorry about that. There's a first time for everything. First time for you to become Australian citizens and first time for me to direct you. From this time forward, I pledge my loyalty to Australia and its people. You could do it solo now. Whose democratic beliefs I share, whose rights and liberties I respect, and whose laws I will uphold and obey. Thank you.
So yes, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our new citizens. If I could ask the Deputy Mayor and Mr. Timbull to come forward. Candidates, please come forward when I call your name. John. Miss Janet Garner. Mr. Eric Lebon. Miss Yuan Yui. Mrs. Karen Nicholas. Mr. Byron Sebain. So everyone, please join me in congratulating these new citizens. We welcome you and extend our sincere best wishes for a happy and successful future. I would like to now introduce the Honourable Tim Bull, Member for Gippsland, to say a few words.
Thanks, Anthony, and I acknowledge Councillor White, our Deputy Mayor, and also our former Mayors of East Gippsland Shire, Mark Roos and Joe Rottino, sniggering away over there, who both have been long-serving councillors who've done a great job on our local council, and particularly in their roles when they were the Mayor. Today is a special day. Today is the day you guys become officially Aussies. So very much congratulations on that. When we go through these citizenship ceremonies a couple of times a year, we often have a great diversity of cultures that are represented. 5 people today from 5 different backgrounds. The general flavour of these days is when we have these citizenship ceremonies, we often have people who have been in our community for quite some time already, who have been finally talked into and convinced to take the step. and we also have a mixture of sometimes relatively new arrivals to our area. One message I always try and get across to those who have taken the step to become Australian citizens, whether you have been here for a long time, as some of you have, or whether you are a relative newcomer to East Gippsland, I think my three fellow councillors will agree with me when I say we live in a pretty special place. We do face our challenges from time to time, and the drought that we're going through at the moment is symptomatic of that. But we have a great community that comes together when it needs to come together, and a great community that has a very strong culture of helping each other out. We also have a very high level of volunteerism in our community. So whether you have been here for a while or whether you are relatively new, I think it's good to remind ourselves of that, embrace that culture that we have in our region, and make sure that we do contribute to what already is a fantastic community. So sincere congratulations today. And I also thank Anthony and the Shire and his team. They do a great job with these citizenship ceremonies, and I hope that you see your day as fittingly special also. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Tim. I'd now like to invite the Deputy Mayor to return to the lectern for the affirmation ceremony.
Thank you, Anthony. This morning we witnessed our new Australian citizens pledge their commitment to Australia and its people. Many Australians have not had the opportunity to do so because they were born here. Participation is an affirmation ceremony is voluntary and has no legal effect, but it is a symbolic way to increase awareness of what it means to be Australian and help us build pride in being a citizen of this great nation. I now invite all Australians who wish to publicly affirm their commitment to Australia to be upstanding and join in reciting the affirmation. Those who are not Australian citizens but still wish to declare loyalty to Australia may join in after the second line. So we would possibly, it's on the screen, we'll all go together. So, as an Australian citizen, I affirm my loyalty to Australia and its people, whose democratic beliefs I share, whose rights and liberties I respect, and whose laws I uphold and obey. Thank you. Now, would you please remain standing and join with me in singing the Australian National Anthem, Advance Australia Fair.
Okay, thank you, Councillor White, Deputy Mayor. That concludes our official proceedings this morning. Thank you all for attending and participating. I invite you all now to stay for some photos, some morning tea, and particularly the new citizens to have a photo with the Deputy Mayor in a few moments. And thank you once again, and good morning.